Ladies and gentlemen, Anansi Street Entertainment Media Corporation presents Debórah's Valley Gold Christmas Special, a grateful celebration. And now, our host for the evening, Debórah.
Welcome to the Valley Gold Holiday Special. I'm Debórah Benton, and I'll be your host for the evening. I'd like to begin by sharing a story. My team and I began planning for this holiday special more than a year ago, based on the theme Grateful Celebration. The original plan was to have a grand concert that included a 13-piece orchestra, award-winning artists from near and far, all before a live audience of 500 guests, and a dazzling reception to follow. But things did not go according to our plan, and so we had to pivot. But initially, we didn't know what we would pivot to. All we were sure of was that we were bringing you a primetime Grateful Celebration Christmas special. As the producer and host, I was really struggling with what the content would be. Going forward, I prayed. Days later, I came across an article in the Buckeye Review newspaper that featured a masquerade ball given by Dion Dowdy's organization, United Returning Citizens, and I thought, there lies the content for the Christmas special. This television special is to remind us to be grateful of the fact that we have come so far, through so much, and we're here today to tell the story. So, as we celebrate the birth of Christ and what his gift has meant to us, let's begin with a song.
Tonight is a night of grateful celebration as we honor the birth of our Lord. Please welcome Joyce Jones Hines singing, "O Come All Ye Faithful."
O come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. O come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Oh, sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
I am Leisha Michelle Salter, mother of 4 amazing children, grandmother to 1.5 grandchildren, 61 years young, and just happy to be alive. I was afraid of what I didn't know. And what I didn't know is that I can be happy, I can be whole, and be single. So I grew up thinking I'm gonna have a beautiful wedding, and I did. Well, a beautiful wedding does not make for an amazing marriage. Marriage takes work, and that 50-50 is a fallacy. You must bring 100%. So, and every day, let me just say, I didn't bring 100%. Every day, my former spouse didn't bring 100%. But when the days turn into weeks, and the weeks months, and months years, and then years decades, you buy into maybe I'm stuck. I was a horrible manager of money. So I felt like, if for nothing else, this person balances me in that area. And so I was afraid, didn't want to struggle, although I'm built for it tough. I know what struggle looks like. And so I'm going to learn how to manage money, or I'm going to struggle. Either way, I can make it. I can do this thing. So just looking at some harsh realities, that is what made me fearful of being single. My friends, I have married friends, so you have to be able to predict that maybe those married friends won't embrace you as a single person. Do you have people in your life who don't mind you being a third wheel? Will they still love you the same way? And then primarily, I wanted my children to be reared in a 2-parent home. Period and bottom line. I was the soccer mom. I was the football mom. I was the basketball mom. So I was that person. And I specifically remember standing in my coworker's office. And I went to say, if I didn't have my kids, I wouldn't have a life. And as plain as I said that, I heard something in my heart say, don't say that. So let's fast forward. 9 years ago, or 10 or so, I'm walking in the hallway, and the same coworker that was in the office previous years says to me, your divorce is in the paper. Huh? So that's how I found out that I was getting a divorce. At the time of the divorce, I had 2 minor children. My 2 older children were grown adults, and I lost custody of those 2 minor children. Now, to say devastated, like I don't even have the vernacular to describe, to explain what emotionally I felt. Going to basketball games, going to football games, going to support cheerleaders and majorettes was no longer an option because the family dynamic was busted. But I made it. Those relationships are healed. Those relationships are better. There have been some apologies. Of course, there's been some tears, but of joy, because I am now single, but not alone.
From the R&B group Who's Who, please welcome Sam Harris.
Once upon an evening divine, trees swayed in a rhythm, stars shined in a rhyme, and on that night, I believe the angels sang the sweetest song, and forever, ever on. Scattered in the wind, and it will always, always be everywhere and within. With every drift of snow in December, there's an angel somewhere dancing on a cloud. So be happy. So be happy and let the snow fall down.
This special program is being brought to you in part by L.E. Black Phillips and Holden Funeral Home, and by Dr. Rodney Hill and Associates in Women's Health, and by PNC Bank. Special delivery. That's what each newborn baby is in the hands of your team in the village. Dr. Rodney Hill and his professional staff of nurse practitioners, conveniently located on 5th Avenue in Youngstown, open weekdays and Saturdays. Call today.
I am William Miller. I am grateful for being alive right now. When I think about my life and how it started and where I am now, I can't be nothing but grateful. I didn't even expect to be here. I remember celebrating my 17th birthday like it was my 50th because I couldn't believe that I was still alive. I experienced a lot of things that typical young black boys experience growing up in impoverished neighborhoods, let me say that. And as a result of trying to survive and decisions that I made in order to try to do that, it put me in some very life-threatening situations. I've been shot numerous times. I've been stabbed. So just that alone, I'm grateful to survive. Unfortunately, some of those decisions led me to prison, put me in a space that wound up leading me to prison. Let me say that, because I actually went to prison for something I didn't do. And was sentenced to life, so I didn't even know if I was gonna ever get out of prison. And so to be sitting here now, to be doing the things that I'm doing now in the community, it's a blessing. And you know, I'm really learning how to be grateful for all my blessings because I've had so many of them. My father was absent. My mother became addicted to drugs at a very, very young age. I always tell people I knew which crack or drug paraphernalia was before I actually knew my ABCs. So just being in that type of environment, my stepdad wasn't really a bad guy. He wasn't a bad guy, but at the end of the day, I wasn't his child either. At 12, at a very young age, 12, 13 years old, a domestic situation happened and I attempted to defend my mother. And as a result, my stepfather, though he understood, basically told me it's time for you to go. And I found myself on the streets. I had family who wanted to try to help me, but they weren't in a financial situation to take me in and help me. And so, you know, I know what it feels like to be homeless. I've slept on friends' couches. I've had friends sneak me in their house so I can have somewhere to sleep. And as a result of that, I began to sell drugs so I could take care of myself. But even with all that, I still went to school because I played football and I love football. Football was like my outlet to everything. I made some decisions that I regret in hindsight. When I think now as a grown man, I've hurt a lot of people just being in that life, whether it be directly or indirectly. I realized what drugs have done to us as a people. And so, I don't know, but I feel like I had to do what I had to do. I had a girlfriend, I think I was 15 at the time, and her mom used to always tell me, baby, you got a good heart, you just gotta do bad things sometimes. And that was my life. Like, I did whatever I had to do to be okay. Got locked up for drugs again. This time my mom reached out to an uncle that I had in Baltimore who had his own business, and she asked him to come get me. He was in the Marines. And so his mentality was a military mentality where we got to break you and then build you. And I remember having a conversation with him one day, and I told him, man, you can't break somebody that's already broken. You can't threaten to put me out because I've already been homeless. That don't scare me no more. You can't threaten to do these things to me because I've already had worse done to me. And so I had a friend whose family just loved me, white guy. Family loved me. And he put me out one day to try to prove a point. I came home from football practice, and I came in the house, and he had my bags packed, and he said, your bags packed, let's see if they really like you. And I left. I went and stayed with a couple friends. I graduated from high school. And a real close friend of mine in Youngstown had got killed. And I remember my brother calling me, my younger, the one that's right under me. I remember him calling me. He always looked up to me. He said some things to me, and I'm just like, I can't let my little brother look at me like this. I graduated June 7th in Baltimore from high school. June 9th, I was again back on the Greyhound to Ohio, to Youngstown, because I didn't want my brother to look at me as a punk or the way he looked at me, because I was trying to live a different life. So I came back to Ohio, started selling drugs again immediately, hooked up with the same guys that I had been with my whole life pretty much. And about a year later, within a year's time, I had been shot numerous times. I've been stabbed. And I wound up being charged with murder, an attempted murder, something I had no idea about. But because I didn't have the resources at the time to really defend myself, I wound up being sentenced to life in prison. Prison was a prey or predator environment. In the end of 1997, I was in solitary confinement. I joined a gang because my little brother, I got killed while I was in prison. And so I was just angry, so I was even fighting even more. And I got into gangs for the wrong reason, but just because I wanted to fight. So I was in this cell, and it was probably like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, man, literally, I'm like, God, you know my heart. And I thought about my 15-year-old girlfriend's mother, what she said to me. And I'm like, God, you know my heart, man. This ain't who I want to be. This ain't who I am. And immediately, he started bringing people in my life to help me make that transition and really be able to become who I am today. And I always say I'm not the man that I want to be yet, but I'm no longer the male that I used to be. I don't believe God saved me and brought me where he brought me for it not be beneficial to other people. I just don't believe that. And so I'm just trying to find ways to make sure that happens.
Please welcome our host and the executive producer of Valley Gold, Debórah.
Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Moreland. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I was originally born in Tallulah, Louisiana. And I've been in Youngstown since I was 7 years old. I'm grateful for the person that I am today because of what I came from in the past. And when I say that, I mean the anger. I was a very angry person. I used to be very angry, and my anger caused me to do a lot of mean things and a lot of bad things to people. And it caused me to do some time in prison, a significant amount of time. And in that time, I decided to better myself so that I can come home and be a better person, be a better me, a better mother, a better sister, a better Christian, and a better woman. And I'm grateful for that. In 2007, I lost a child. I lost a 3-year-old child to gun violence. And it was horrible. It was a horrible thing to go through. And then in 2011, I lost another child. I lost my son to gun violence as well. And it tore me up inside, and it made me angry. It made me bitter. It made me want to, hurt people because I was hurt. So I wanted to hurt other people. I wanted people to feel like how I felt. I felt rotten inside. I felt bad. I was lost. I felt dark. It was like so much darkness. I was broken. I started drinking a lot. And it caused me to do some stupid things. I ran into some police officers and tried to run them over. I got 5 years for that. I did the 5 years. And I did a lot of reflecting. I did a lot of soul searching and reflecting. I did a lot of praying to God. What helped me the most was I did some grief counseling with the chaplain in there, and she helped me out tremendously. I memorized Psalm 91, and I used to recite that Psalm 91 every night. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I would just recite it to myself, and for some reason it always made me feel better. It's like I got confirmation from God. Your kids are going to be okay. I'll take care of your kids. They're going to be fine. I took a lot of classes. I took a lot of groups, a lot of anger management, anything that had something to do with me controlling my anger or me wanting to get better or be better and stay out for my children and take care of my children and, like I said, be a better mom, a better person. I did that. So when I came home in 2017, I was determined to stay home. So I worked. I did anything. I did fast food. I didn't care. I started saving money, because I wanted to do bigger things. I wanted to just not work. I wanted other things. I didn't want to go back to the streets or any of that. So I'm like, okay, I have to figure something out. What can I do next? What's my next big thing? So I started my own business. I started from home, selling furniture. And my customers would come to my house and they would buy things from me. And my house was literally packed from floor to ceiling with boxes and boxes and boxes. But it would sell fast, so it wouldn't be like that all the time. But I did enough to where I can, get out of my house and get into a building, start from a building. But yes, I'm grateful, and I got a lot to be grateful for. And it took me a long time to get here, but I'm here, and I'm okay with that.
From the R&B group Who's Who, please welcome Sam Harris.
Trust, dignity, and peace of mind. These are the qualities you look for when planning the memorial service of a loved one. L.E. Black Phillips and Holden Funeral Home is the name families have come to rely on for pre-need planning, grief support, financial guidance, and compassion during life's most difficult time. Located at 1951 McGuffey Road in Youngstown, in the time of need, it's L.E. Black Phillips and Holden Funeral Home, still caring for the memories most cherished by you.
I am Corey Kemp. There was a time that I was in a difficult space that I didn't want to be in. It was related to our pandemic last year with the COVID. It really struck me pretty bad. As I went to the hospital, then they said that I wasn't sick enough to get admitted. And so after that happened, I went home and 2 more days passed, and I have a nursing background. And one time I woke up, my now fiance was with me, and it's this sound called stridor, and I heard it in my lungs. It was like my lungs were collapsing. And I tried to call for 911, but I just knew I wasn't gonna make it. And so she said I passed out, but I drove myself to the ER, and then they admitted me. So it was definitely traumatic because I just knew I wasn't gonna make it. And they said when I got to the ER, my saturation of oxygen was like in 40%. When a hospital was like a zombie war zone. I mean, I'm telling you, the nurses were passing out. And I just knew even in there, like I said, with my medical background, I was always reading my labs, always reading my charts, trying to do what we teach patients to do. And so it's like, for me, I was flipping myself prone. That's like flipping yourself upside down, what we do to like lung patients. Even the incentive spirometer, the breathing machine, I can only get up to 250, and we tell patients to get up to 1,500, 2,000. And so I had COVID and pneumonia, they said, at the same time. And it was just, medically, I never experienced myself to be that sick. I gave myself a pep talk. It was about day 7 because it seems like I was just still going further and further downhill. The doctors would order more antibiotics. And some of the lab work that was coming back, I never even heard of some of the stuff they said that I had. So I was looking in the mirror, and I stood there, and it just was like, hey, you got to pull yourself out or you're not going to make it. I did some push-ups on the wall, like 10 push-ups. I walked around for an hour, and crazy or not, I started singing because I knew that would open up my lungs too. So I just tried to do everything it was to just try to fight. But I know it was a time where I was just like, well, if this is my time to go, because it was just so hard. It was just so hard to fight to be okay. I didn't put my call light on or things like that because it was other people that was worse off than me. It's hard to put what I went through into words because it had so many triumph moments. Me and my fiance, we were just getting our first home. We closed before Christmas, but I was too sick to even move in, so we didn't move into January. And normally you'd be like, oh man, it's a beautiful house, but all them steps, and I just had to get help to get dressed and everything. So, but, and that's what makes me so grateful for life now. I mean, I think, I'm not saying that like I decreased some of my goals, but I'm more appreciative of where I'm at in life right now versus always running around and trying to do something like, so say if I have to be somewhere, I'm present versus being more on my phone and stuff like that, or just being distracted with stuff that really is not as important as family. What I'm super grateful for now is just health.
Please welcome award-winning singer, songwriter, and producer Black Rose singing I'll Be Home for Christmas.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents under
If only in my dreams.
I am Ariel Freeman. About 2019, 2020, I was going through a transition, a divorce. I had gotten some legal trouble, and I experienced grace. Because for me, when you know you have done something wrong or you wasn't living the right type of way and you still kind of get spared in a sense, I experienced grace. Some people don't realize grace. They think it's, oh, I'm having a good day, or oh, I got away with something. But I knew I experienced grace. I was married to a guy that just living a bad life, and he had a warrant for his arrest, but I was his wife. Me not testifying on him or what I knew they charged me just like how they would charge him. I lost my kids for 2 years. Everything that I had and I was like, were gone within a couple hours. But it was well needed. It saved my life. That moment is one of the best moments that I ever had in my life, because if that wouldn't have happened, for one, I probably wouldn't have been alive. Everybody gonna get that moment where you against you, type of moment. And people say it's it's really you versus you at a moment, because you could either stay in the energy or you can either change. And I chose the other side. I really chose me, because I could have stayed. I could have fought. That's the type of person that I am. But in that moment, I knew I had to choose me. Like, I knew I had to, go through my change. I received grace. And I know it was nothing but grace. I was spared when I was in court and I was about to get sentenced, and the prosecutor stood up for me. She just stood up and she was just like, this is her first offense. Me personally don't want to see her do jail time. And the judge looking at her, I'm looking at her, and I end up getting 5 years of probation. And that changed me forever, because if she wouldn't have said nothing for me in that moment, I probably would have been still in jail. I have a different outlook on life. Everything matters to me. Everything, When you come from being numb, and you start to feel again, and you start to realize, the enemy is the inner you. So I was my own enemy, and I had to figure that. Like, I hear people say, the enemy made me do it, or the devil made you do it. Accountability has to kick in. Willpower and grace, and me just taking accountability got me through what I needed to get through. And 4 years clean, own my own business. I have a fiance. He's wonderful. I got my kids back, and moving forward, every day is I'm still living in that moment.
Please welcome our host and the executive producer of Valley Gold, Debórah, singing The Little Drummer Boy.
Come, they told me, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, a newborn king to see, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, our finest gifts we bring, pa-rum-pum-pum-pum.
special delivery. That's what each newborn baby is in the hands of your team in the village. Dr. Rodney Hill and his professional staff of nurse practitioners, conveniently located on 5th Avenue in Youngstown, open weekdays and Saturdays. Call today.
I am Darnell Walker. 25 years ago, I came to Youngstown from Detroit for the sole purpose of selling drugs. I was sentenced to a life sentence. And life in the federal system is what it is, life. It's natural life. I was around a lot of good guys that was in bad situations, where we all had a lot of time. We all was young. We had too much in common. We was from different cities, we were from different states, but we had the similarities of doing time and having a lot of time to do, not knowing when we going home. When I talk to my families, that's an escape. When I'm writing letters to them, that's an escape. When they come to visit me, that's an escape. When I'm working out, that was my escape. When I'm listening to music, that was my escape. When I'm reading books, that was my escape. It was December 19th of 2016. He had a month left, exactly a month left. So I never thought I was gonna get it. And I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, I'm like, just answer it. Don't leave office without answering it. Rather it's yes or no. But I also was thinking, like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life in prison for selling drugs. I was sitting in my cell one day when a couple correctional officers walking by, and they stopped and looked at my cell, and they was like, Walker, the council wanted to see you at 2:30. Just like 11:30 in the afternoon. This is it. Those was the longest 3 hours of my life. When I got on the phone with them, they was so excited. You know, in between that time, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, would it be time served or would I have to do a little more time? From the excitement in their voice, I'm saying it gotta be one of the two. So when they finally said my sentence was commuted to 30 years, I was so happy. 30 years is a long time, but at this point, I think I had like 23 in. So I was quickly doing the math in my head. I knew I would have to do at least 2 or 3 more years. Coming a few minutes before that and knowing that I had a life sentence, and now it's been commuted to 30 years, and I had 2 or 3 years there, come on with it. That's nothing. I can do that with no problem. Once I received clemency, I just wanted to meet President Obama and Eric Holden just to thank them for what y'all did for me and hundreds of other people in my situation. We had no hope. We had faith, but at times that started going away. When I read it and seen your signature on it, first thing that came to my mind is like, thank you. If I ever get the chance to thank you in person, that'd be one of the best days of my life.
From the R&B group Who's Who, please welcome Sam Harris.
These
I am Carshara Bradley. I stay in the Boardman area of Youngstown, Ohio. 7 years ago, I was incarcerated. I was sent to prison for 2 years. I lost myself. I really didn't know who I was as a woman, as a young adult, as a young mother. Growing up without a mom or a dad, I was raised by my grandmother. It was kind of hard on me because I didn't understand, why they were not present. So it turned into rebellion and just destruction. And I just had this attitude of I don't care, and I was doing a lot of wrong things for men, looking for love, thinking that, these guys had my best interest at heart, and I had to find out the hard way. So I ended up going to prison for 2 years. I always say it was the best thing that happened to me. Only God knew my journey. It helped me, it saved my life, actually, and it gave me a better relationship with God. Really repenting and surrendering and turning my heart over to God was the best thing I ever could have done. But I remember riding in the van, and I kept hearing a voice saying, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay." And I just asked God, I said, I don't know what's the reason, but I know it's your reason. So whatever it is that you need me to do for these 2 years so I can come home and help the next woman or young man not make the mistakes that I've done, I'm all for it. And I just grew a closer relationship more and more. I would go to church, I would run Bible studies, I would do different things to just get that relationship with my higher power. And I had to let go, and I had to face a lot of the ugly, the bad, the good, all by myself. So that helped me out finding truly who I was and what was my purpose and what was my calling, that I needed to come home and be a better person. Being surrounded around women, addicts, baby killers, child molesters, it's a whole different world inside of there. My main focus and my drive was my son. I had to get back home to him. I had to show him a different way, to not follow my footsteps or his father's. Me and his father were incarcerated at the same time. So that was a lot on me, my mental state, worried about my son. He was in good care with my family, but it was nothing like a mother to being there. So that was my vow I made to myself, that I would never leave him again. The reconnection with my son coming home was challenging. I felt like I had to make up for lost time, and that's where I went wrong at. I felt like I missed out on so much, so I tried to make up for the 2 years that I was gone, and that was kind of causing our relationship to go downhill instead of uphill. So I had to realize that I can't get back time. I can't make up for lost time. I have to just start now. And he was 13 when I came home, and I remember setting him down on his 13th birthday, and I asked him, did he know where mommy was at? And he was aware. My mom and my sisters and them, they didn't lie to him about what was going on. And I asked him, how did that make him feel? And he told me that he was sad because he wanted me and his dad. He would be at football games and he would just, fantasize we were coming through, or we were coming to the game, or cheering him on in the bleachers. So that really, that stung a lot, So I knew right then and there that I had to make my son proud of me. I didn't want him to have that vision in his head for the rest of his life that my mom went to prison, or my mom was in the streets and she went to prison and that was that. I wanted him to look at me and to just be proud of his mother and how far she's came. And now he's 17 and it's like I'm relearning him all over again. He's coming into a young man. But I love that I did sit him down and talk to him the way I did, because I remember being that 13-year-old kid with all the questions and no one would tell me the truth. Me and my sister, we have a nonprofit we call Walking in My Truth. And it was just an expression of what we are trying to do and what we have came from. So we wanted to help, young women heal inside, to be able to understand, it takes inner work before you see any results on the outer. It's our passion and it's what we love to do. So coming from me and my sister, being raised by our grandmother, and not having that unconditional love from a mom or a dad, we naturally just want to give it back. That's what helps us, makes us happy, helping others.
This special program is being brought to you in part by L.E. Black, Phillips and Holden Funeral Home, and by Dr. Rodney Hill and Associates in Women's Health, and by PNC Bank. Trust, dignity, and peace of mind. These are the qualities you look for when planning the memorial service of a loved one. L.E. Black, Phillips and Holden Funeral Home is the name families have come to rely on for pre-need planning, grief support, financial guidance, and compassion during life's most difficult time. Located at 1951 McGuffey Road in Youngstown, in the time of need, it's L.E. Black, Phillips and Holden Funeral Home, still caring for the memories most cherished by you.
Here to sing this Christmas, please welcome Black Rose.
Fun is gonna be together. This Christmas, the fireside is blazing bright. Oh, we're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me. Shake a hand, shake a hand, shake a hand, y'all. Listen, presents and cards are here. My world is filled with cheer and you. This Christmas, and as we look around, your eyes outshine the town they do. Oh, this Christmas, the fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through the night. Oh, this Christmas, it will be a very special Christmas for me. Oh, shake a hand, shake a hand, shake a hand, y'all.
We hope you've enjoyed this presentation of the Valley Gold Holiday Christmas Special. We pray you have been inspired by the songs and the stories, and above all, that you are reminded of your many blessings. You can always find a reason to be grateful and to celebrate. Thank you for watching, and from our entire team and family, Merry Christmas and good night.
On behalf of Anansi Street Entertainment Media Corporation and the Valley Gold Show with Debórah, we would like to thank each of our sponsors and viewers. We wish you a very Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year.